So let's arrive on this spot on planet Earth on which you're sitting. Let's arrive with a whole heart, with energy, with attention, with commitment, and feeling the earth supporting us. Feeling that sense of pressure that the weight of the body experiences connecting with the earth. The earthiness of the body connecting with the earth. And relax into that. Relax into the way that gravity holds you. And bring also to your posture an upwardness of reaching through the spine, through the crown of the head, toward the sky. And this energized spine can keep attention, can keep us present, can keep our energy focused on what we're doing, on the meditation practice. And this spine also can be a kind of a dashboard to notice, well, if we start slumping or drifting, off to one side or another, that probably the mind is drifting. So, so if you're, whatever your body, however your body is comported, whether you're lying down or you can just bring a little bit of energy to the spine, not anything too not really strenuous, but just gentle kind of upward movement in the spine. Open the senses as we begin to sound, to the ambient sounds which come and go. And with sound, it's very easy to notice impermanence. Even when sounds are ongoing or recurring, there is a flux and flow in the sounds. So there may be sounds which the mind judges as unpleasant. Sometimes there are construction sounds outside, a dog barking. And we can actually open to the flow of sound and notice the resistance in the body, if there is, to sound. So this may or may not be pertinent to you in this moment, but it might be an instruction you could use at another time. And just opening, noticing if there's resistance in the body, a tensing, a contracting, and just letting the sound flow through the space of awareness and letting it be what it is. And noticing how it changes. And noticing how the sounds also come and go. So seeing the impermanent nature of sound. And as we notice the impermanent nature of sound, we're also noticing the spaces between sounds. We're noticing silence. Our brains are configured to notice what fills the silence, what comes into the silence, and not necessarily to notice the quality of silence. So we can train the mind to rest in the silence that we discover beneath sound, around sound, the silence through which the sound moves. And we can bring this inward to apply to the, the sound, the inner sound of our thoughts, the chatter of the mind, the seemingly continual chatter of narration, inner conversations, and so on. We can bring our attention to the silence and the space within which that inner discourse happens, and shift our attention from clinging to the experience of the thoughts to rather resting in the silence and the space within which the thoughts come and go. Notice how the attention tends to cling to thoughts, to sensations in the body, sensations of sound. And the breath can be a skillful way to bring our attention back to being present, present in that non-grasping, non-reactive space of awareness. When we give our attention to the breath, when we use the breath as a meditation object, in a way, we're giving the attention something to cling to, which is neutral and doesn't create reactivity. So the mind can just hold lightly to the breath as a way to stay present. The breath is always renewing itself, is always present. So there's a way of meditating with the breath and using the breath as a meditative tool to come back to this moment without clinging tightly, without narrowing the attention tightly around the breath, but rather just lightly resting with the breath in a way that is bringing us back to a sense of the whole body. I'd like to take the last few minutes of the sitting to lead a guided meditation on compassion. Compassion is the response of the heart when the heart is deeply connected with a sense of love and caring, of goodwill toward beings. Upon seeing beings that are suffering, the heart wishes for those beings to be liberated from suffering, to be free from suffering. It's the quality of heart that moved the Buddha to embark on his many years of teaching. And it's a quality of heart that motivates many people of goodwill and kindness to respond to suffering in so many skillful ways, with teaching and generosity um, and caring and all kinds of different support. So by opening our heart to just connecting with a memory or an image that moves us of someone that we know or some being that we've seen that is suffering, um, bringing that to mind to evoke this quality of compassion. So this may be felt in the heart as sometimes it's described as a kind of a quivering of the heart, or a softening of the heart, or an opening of the heart. Notice what that quality of the heart is for you. It may be very, very subtle. It may be more an intention than an experience of the heart. It may be more mental, and that's also fine. Bring that compassion, that quality of compassion, whatever way you're experiencing it, first of all, to your own being, aware that this being, seated on your cushion, seated on the spot on earth where you are seated, this being also suffers pain, clinging to wanting things to be other than how they are, suffers from self-doubt, self-judgment, suffers from grasping, suffers from hating, suffers from being disconnected from our hearts. And allowing compassion for this being that we call myself, to fill the whole body, to fill the heart. In whatever way you may experience that. And if it feels imperfect, if it feels very partial, if it feels a little bit flat, then that's okay. You can bring compassion to that. Bring compassion to judging, bring compassion to thoughts of, I'm incapable, if those arise. And let that extend, let that compassion extend and radiate beyond the body to fill the space around you, to touch all the beings in widening circles, boundlessly. So boundlessly doesn't mean that I need to have an enormous compassion that it can fill the whole world. Boundlessly means simply that we're not putting boundaries on it, that we're allowing compassion to touch life all around us. All the people who we're sitting with virtually, the people in our lives, in our homes, in our neighborhoods, in our communities, in our provinces, in our countries, the whole world, all the beings of the air, of the water, of the earth. Compassion for the suffering of beings. And as we bring the sitting to an end, let's invite a commitment that as we practice for our own liberation, our own awakening from suffering and delusion, that we also may be of benefit to others. And as we bring this intention that we may be of benefit to others, also acknowledging and opening to the lineage that stretches before us over the beyond any horizon line that we can know, that others have made that commitment, that their practice in their lives may benefit others, may bring a relief of suffering and an increase of well-being in the lives of others. And also knowing that in whatever way we may touch others' lives, that also extends the lineage into the future, that others may also be encouraged, inspired, and awakened to benefit others through their practice, through their efforts, through their lives. May our practice and our lives serve the happiness, well-being, and liberation of all beings. I'd like to add just a couple of thoughts. to this reflection um, on impermanence and on the capacity to be the space to be grounded in the space of awareness through which experience flows. As we practice this in our lives, and we notice when the mind is grasping, and we let go, and we come back to a kind of a ground of openness and spaciousness and awareness. We 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 develop a quality which in which we're not so in which clinging is not so prevalent in our lives. And there's many spiritual teachers have pointed out that in a way we notice the dreamlike quality of life, that that we're just noticing that things change, things move, things appear and disappear, they're ephemeral. We're noticing the ephemeral quality of life. And many spiritual teachers from different traditions have said in different ways, life is like a dream. And we may feel some resistance coming up, like, oh, does that mean I don't care? If I say life is like a dream, does that mean like, doesn't matter? And there's this, and practice as we move into a deeper awareness of impermanence and really deeply practice with it, is finding this balance, this intricate and subtle balance of deeply caring, a deep compassion, a recognizing of the importance of responding and engaging, recognizing that when we're suffering, it hurts, and caring about that for others, and wanting not necessarily always to dive in and try to save them from suffering, but to be a presence of compassion, to be a presence of, of kindness, as much as we can, whatever skillful ways that we can. And at the same time, not getting so hooked in to our own suffering or the roller coaster of the world's events. And we are really on a roller coaster these days. That we're so up and down and distraught and exhausted by just watching the news or going to whatever our news source is, hopefully not Facebook, um, and reading what's happening in the world around us. So yeah, so this quality of spaciousness, of remembering the ephemeral nature of everything that we're going through, of life itself, and finding stability in that. So I invite you to practice with that this week. We're kind of out of time. I would love to have opened this up a little bit more for discourse. Um, well, maybe I will after I stop recording, and people can leave as they need to. But if anybody wants to stay, we'll keep it to 5 minutes, and just invite a few brief comments. So so And just to also um, thank you and add my gratitude for whatever support, Donna, you can give toward my livelihood as a teacher and for True North Insight as we continue to navigate our way through this unfolding new reality, changing reality of the pandemic. So thank you for your support for yeah, for my livelihood and for True North Insight. And I wish you well. So